Okay, this is Unit 4D. We're looking at loan payments, credit cards, and mortgages. And, beginning here, ask you a series of questions. Do you have a credit card? Have you taken out student loans or a loan for a car? Do you own a house? There's a good chance that you owe money on at least one of these things. And if so, you have to pay back the money you borrowed, but you also have to pay interest on that money you owe. And so in this unit, we're going to kind of be studying just the basics of these type of loans and give you an idea of how you determine a payment when you're given some parameters, and also how much you're going to pay over the duration of that loan, and compared to how much the loan was initially, how much money you initially took out on your loan. So here's some basics. So let's just say, suppose you borrow $1,200 at an annual interest rate, so APR of 12%, and in other words, 1% monthly. So at the end of the first month, here's kind of how you calculate your interest. You would take 1% of the $1,200, and you would owe $12 in interest after that first month. Now, if you only paid $12 in interest, you'd still owe $1,200. So that total amount is called the principal, again, like we've discussed in the past. Now, if that was the case and you only paid the interest of $12, then the next month you would owe $12 again. And if you only paid $12 per month, the interest, you would be paying $12 for the rest of your life if you only paid the interest. So if you hope to make any progress on paying off your loan, you need to pay back part of the principal as well as the interest. So when you get statements, you'll see how much money goes towards interest, how much goes towards principal. So let's just say, for example, suppose that you pay $200 towards the principal plus current interest. So at the end of the first month, you'd pay $200 plus $12 that you owe, making a total payment of $212. Now, because you've paid $200 towards principal, your new loan principal would be, you take the $1,200 minus $200, you'd be down to $1,000. So then the next month, they would calculate your interest based off of the $1,000 rather than the $1,200. Again, that's kind of the basics of loans. So here you can see kind of how this would work. So you can see how much in interest. Again, we're at 1%. We start with the principal of $1,200. So we take 1% of $1,200 is $12. So that's how much interest you pay the first month. And then, again, $200 went towards principal, and the total payment was $212. So your new balance is $1,000. Then the next month, your balance is $1,000. So they take 1% times $1,000, which is $10. So you pay a little bit less in interest because you don't have as much principal. Still making a payment of $200 towards your principal, so you'd only have to pay $210, and now your balance is down to $800 and so forth. And so you can see that this interest decreases over time. Some people want to give the notion that you take out a loan in the beginning, they're gouging you for interest. They want as much interest as they can up front. The reality is when you take out a loan in the beginning of that loan, you're paying interest on a higher value or a higher amount, and so that's why your interest, the amount of interest you pay, decreases over time, is because the amount you owe back decreases as well. And so you can see here kind of how that chart would break down. But this is just a very basic example. Loans can get a little bit more complicated than this, or the numbers can get much larger than this. But anyway, just kind of the basics of the loan. Okay, the principal, again, is the amount of money owed at any particular time. The interest charged is always charged on the principal of that loan, and to pay off the loan, you must gradually pay down the principal. Then you'll hear that sometimes the loan term is the time you have to pay back the loan in full. So a lot of people, what they do is they take out a loan and they have to pay it out on a monthly basis. And we're going to look at this idea of installment loans. So this table up here just, again, kind of shows you how things decrease over time, and how the interest was decreasing. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with paying off a loan, but most people prefer to pay the same amount each month. So notice how, here we paid 212, then we paid 210, then we paid 208, then 206, 204, 202. And a lot of people don't like to have to figure out, okay, how much should I pay so I can get exactly 200 towards principal and pay my interest? They want to say, how much do I got to pay every month so I can pay it off in 6 months? And that's what we're going to be looking at in this idea of what's called an installment loan. So a loan that you pay off with equal regular payments. So again, those are equal regular payments. It's called an installment loan. Sometimes an amortized, holy cow, that's a hard word to say, amortized loan. And if you look at the word amortized, it basically means to kill off. So you're just trying to knock down this loan. And so, if we say, suppose you wanted to pay off the $1,200 with 6 equal monthly payments instead of going 212, then 210, then 208, and so forth. How much should we pay each month? Because we had that huge variance between 202 and 212. And it's clear that the equal monthly payments must lie somewhere between those two numbers. Now, the exact amount isn't totally obvious. It's not right in the middle. It actually leans a little bit more towards the 212. But we can actually calculate that using the loan payment formula. And here is this guy. You do not need to know in this class where this comes from, how it's derived. You just need to know what each piece means. So again, when we see PMT, that's our payment. When we see P, that is the starting principal or the amount that you borrowed. APR is our annual percentage rate. N is the number of payment periods per year. And then Y is the loan term in years. So if it's 30 years, Y is going to be 30. If it's a 15-year loan, it's 15, and so forth. So let's look at that question. What is the payment required to pay off a $1,200 loan in 6 months at a 12% APR? So again, we're going to be trying to find out what is the payment. So the payment is equal to the initial amount we're borrowing times our APR, which is 0.12, divided by 12 payments per month. All that is divided by, and if you look right up here, I'll try and keep those on the same screen, so that's 1 minus, and then 1 plus our APR 0.12 divided by N, which is 12, raised to the negative, and then 12 times N years. If it's 6 months, then it's only half a year, so 0.5 years. That's one thing to be careful. Y is always in total number of years. 6 months is half of a year. Now, I again recommend a scientific or graphing calculator to do this. Don't try and do this on a cell phone. Try and do it in one shot, or at least do the numerator and the denominator and then divide the two, because the more rounding you get, the farther off you will be in your end result. And MyMathLab will not accept if you're off by some pennies, so just be careful there. But if you multiply all this out, you should get $207.06. Okay, and that is how much you'd have to pay over 6 months every month in order to pay off your $1,200 loan at 12% APR. So that's how we would use this loan payment formula on an installment loan, where again, an installment loan is we're paying equal amounts every single month. Okay, let's look at number 15 here. So we've got so student loans at $24,000, fixed APR of 7% over 10 years. We wanted to calculate the monthly payment, determine the total amount that you pay over the duration of the loan, because you're going to be paying interest and those things. And then of the total amount, what percentage is towards principal and what percentage is towards interest. So I'm just checking my time here. So on part A, again, we're going to find the payment, which is $24,000, and then times it by our APR, and we wanted to find a monthly payment, so that's going to be over 12 months, divided by 1 minus, then 1 plus the 0.07 over 12 again. All that's raised to the negative. It's compounded, or not compounded. We pay it 12 times a month, or 12 times a year, monthly, 12 times a year for 10 years. And when we multiply all of that information out, we're eventually going to get $278.06. $4,241.66. Okay, that would be the monthly payment that you would need over 10 years to pay off your $24,000 student loan. Now, if we want to check and see, well, okay, how much does this loan cost us, over the full term, how much should we actually pay? Then we're going to take the $278.66. You make 12 payments a year for 10 years, so you make a total of 120 payments. So we're just going to multiply all of these out, and we get $33,439.20. So notice that we paid quite a bit in interest, and we can actually find out how much we paid in interest. So the interest would be that total amount in payments, $33,439.20, minus the original balance. Okay, and this is going to give us the value of $9,439.20. So that's how much interest was paid. So then if we want to look and see, what percentage of the is for principal, what percentage is for interest. So let's take a look and see, how much we paid in, what percent was paid in interest. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take that $9,439.20 and divide it by the total amount that we paid, and we get, it's approximately 0.282 or 28.2%. So 28.2% of the money you paid went towards interest. And now the rest of it had to go to principal. So if we just take 100% and minus the 28.2%, then you're going to get 71.8%. And that's how much went towards the principal of the loan. So you can see that with these loans that are extended for a long period of time, you can end up paying a substantial amount of interest over that period of time. So that's just a look at installment loans and some of the basics, and we'll continue this in a part 2.